Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And while the ZX6 is in for its recall work, I have here a bit of a head-to-head. We have the new ZX4RR with a grand total of 6 miles on it, which Shurlaws, Aberdeen Kawasaki have been very kind enough to give me as a courtesy bike while that's in for its recall work. This is their new demo. Now, obviously the biggest difference between the ZX6 and the ZX4, in case you don't know, ZX6 has 128 horsepower with ram air. The ZX4 has 75, 78, something like that, 76. Yeah, it's basically the same power as a V-Strom 650, pretty much. The ZX6, I've fitted helibars to it. The ZX4 has got a more upright riding position. If you're looking at one, you know what you're looking at. Let's have a sit on it. So straight away, the bike feels quite heavy actually. It's not as light as I thought it'd be. You're more in the bike. The brakes feel quite squishy initially on the lever, but that's probably because it's brand new. Suspension is softer. The seat pushes you a little bit into the tank. 6'4", riding position feels okay. It feels a bit weird actually. Start's different. It's got this switch here, this rocker switch, unlike the press button on the ZX6. Does feel, ironically now I've fitted helibars to that, this does feel a little bit more cramped. Certainly knees to hands ratio feels quite close. But anyway, let's go for it. Let's see. Right. Oh, it feels a bit small. So this of course has got a bi-directional quick shifter, which the ZX6 doesn't have. It feels, yeah, it doesn't feel quite so instant. It's got initial power, the throttle response feels different. Feels more dulled down. I don't know if we've got riding modes on this, have we? Don't think so. Oh yeah, we have. We're in sport, that's fine. And the quick shifter's on, that's cool. So that'll be full power. Full power in sport mode. Let's see what she's like. Yeah, initial pickup mid-range. Torque is quite a bit less. Initially. Seat of the pants feel. Mirrors are the same. Quite like the way the mirrors fold in the ZX6. It's quite handy for getting the bike in and out the garage. It's quite good. Yeah, also the cockpit feels a little bit more cramped. The bike suspension feels softer. I've not adjusted the suspension of the ZX6 yet. Back of my boot is catching the exhaust, the heat shield of the exhaust. Just feel it slightly underneath my right heel. Position-wise, it's now starting to feel a bit more natural. Now I've been on it for a few minutes. More relaxed than the ZX6. Not quite so intense. Now Rory at Shurlaws, he loves this bike, so I give him a shout. He's done over 1,000 miles on their demo, on their other demo, which is now for sale. He swears by this bike. He says it's the best thing since sliced bread. So let's see what he's got to say about it. He's just chatting to him there. He's quite interested in what I think of it, which is kind of humbling. What does it matter what I think? But anyway, the brakes aren't as sharp. Obviously the bike's only done next to knack-all mileage, 8 miles. Quick shifter up the box is fine. Of course, this has got a bi-directional quick shifter, as I said earlier, so you can actually clutch this change going down the box. So yeah, there's not much going on at the minute. Doesn't have the mid-range that the ZX6 has got, but you know, we're up at cruising speed, no problem at all. The wind blast is actually fine. It's a bit of wind on my helmet, but it's not too bad. The bike itself feels a bit less buzzy. In some respects a bit smoother. Doesn't feel quite so angry. Vibration through the bars is fine. A little bit of a tingle at 70 miles an hour, but it's not a massive problem. You definitely feel like you're sat more upright on the bike itself. You're not quite so canted over. Got used to the seat now. I don't feel like I'm getting pushed back so much into the tank, which does feel quite narrow. It's quite a narrow tank on this bike, but it's actually quite a comfy place to be. It's wind-on power from 70. That's throttle to the stop. Not much is happening, but that's in 6th gear. Obviously, a bike like this, you know, it wants to rev to the heavens, doesn't it? So it's red-lined at 16,000 revs. It wants to be spanked. Ooh! Gotta say, the wind protection is actually quite decent on this. Surprised, got a bit of, as I say, got a bit of wind on my helmet, a little bit on top of my shoulders, but for someone of my size, it's actually all right. Controls are nice to hand. Very basic controls, but it's all you need, really. It's a smooth little engine. I'm quite surprised. I thought it'd be quite vibey, but it really isn't. Far from it. ZX6 definitely feels angrier. Definitely feels like it's got more attitude. Be interested to see how it handles this little hill here. It's not a big hill. The Bridge of Muckles, this is called. Dropped about 5 miles an hour going up there, but that's okay. Yeah, roll-on power in 6 really is, there's not much there at all, to be honest. It's definitely more of an overdrive, a cruising gear. Oh, down the box, the quick shifter is really smooth. Just as good going up. Yeah, it's lovely. This is a fun little bike. I can tell already. This is a fun little bike. I think there's something about that down blipper. It just adds to the occasion. It adds to the fun of the bike itself, I think. Why Kawasaki don't do it on their ZX6, I've got no idea. I really don't. It's that's what its next update needs, without a doubt. Let's go for another take here. Yeah, managed that okay. Doesn't have the instant pickup that the ZX6 has got. And, you know, a lot of people are going to be, well, hopefully, a lot of people watching this going, well, yeah, but what's the difference between the ZX6 and ZX4? I mean, which one should I buy? Well, I came really close to buying one of these, but I'd never ridden one before the ZX6. Which maybe is, for this review, maybe that's quite a good thing. Once we get to the end of it and I decide how I'm going to wrap this video up, because I've got no idea. It's just winging it all at the end of the day. The brakes are definitely softer. They've definitely got a spongier feel. Of course, we get the full bifter over here in the UK with the ZX4. Our friends in the States get the watered-down version until they get it tuned. But what we're doing, yeah, 40 mile an hour in 4th. Up the throttle, it picks up. You've got to bear in mind, this is it is a small bike. Filtering is an absolute doddle. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. First gear is very short. Yeah, not much really happens below 6,000–7,000 revs. I think on a track it'll be really good fun. I'm already sensing it on the road, it's great, but for my height and my weight, I don't know, maybe too early to comment. You don't really use the brakes on this bike, you just use the gearbox to slow down. It's like it hits 12,000 revs, it's like it hits a different... It's like it gets an extra surge of power. It's got a sense of being a bit slow, but I think you're probably finding that it's actually quite deceptive. You're probably going quicker than you think because you're carrying so much more corner speed because it's so light. I've got to say, if I'd have probably ridden one of these first, would I have bought the ZX6? Oh dear. Ooh, you're going very slow. Let's squeeze past here. Yeah. Good thing is you feel like you can really ride this bike. It's got great feedback from it. Feels very compliant on the road. I hate using that expression, but that's kind of the only thing that really kind of descriptive word that works. This bike's got a lot of mechanical grip. You can just feel it. The feedback from the bike through the tyres, the seat, the chassis. You can really feel what's going on underneath the tyres. Yeah, see, hanging off it, the bike's starting to show its size a little bit. I'm riding a bit sportier. My boot is catching on the heat shield of the bike, on the exhaust, and it's feels a bit small to be hanging off of, to be honest. It's probably because I'm a bit bigger. Brakes are getting better, but they're definitely spongier than they are on the ZX6. Yeah, I think the biggest compliment I can give this bike actually is the fact that it doesn't feel like a small bike. It actually feels like a big bike. I would say on a track it would be an absolute riot. I don't know if on the road you'd get a bit fed up with the lack of torque, because you do need to be jumping up and down the gearbox a little bit to keep it spinning. But the corner speed you can carry, and the way in which you get the feedback through the chassis and the tyres and the suspension, is really quite something for a, well, budget bike. What are they, £8,000? Let's be honest, they're not exactly cheap for what they are, I guess. But you could argue its racing heritage, its lineage, the development that's gone into it, maybe that's on the money. Maybe £8,000 isn't too much for this. But the problem you've got is that for another £2,000 you can have a ZX6. And therein lies the issue, I think. Well, here we are, back on the ZX6. Instantly the bike is obviously feels bigger. The engine is definitely more responsive, obviously. It's more instant. A bit more relaxed, greater choice of gears, but the riding position I would say is not as comfortable, which is why I fitted handlebars to this one. Definitely got a bigger bike feel to it. You know, obviously the ZX4 is a physically small bike, but I would say it's actually a more comfortable bike than this, generically. Like a blipper obviously, which is a little bit of a disappointment on this bike. Obviously with this can on, it's substantially louder as well. Still handles really well. Tyres on this are obviously still very good. These are Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4s. I think the biggest, obviously not biggest noticeable difference is obviously the size of the engine. It's just gives you that more flexibility, a little bit more relaxing to ride, but the bike feels like it's more angry. It's got a more purposeful feel to it. But obviously it just picks up and goes. That extra cc makes a big difference. More space to move around on it, being that little bit bigger, more space for your feet, and obviously substantially more roll-on power. Wind protection still feels very good. Roll-on power is just a little bit more relaxing to ride. Don't need massive amounts of extra power, but just a little bit more. Just means you can just stay that one gear a bit longer. You don't need to be dancing up and down the gearbox quite so much. But the ZX4's got its place, you know. It's a cracking little bike. Quite a niche market, I'll be honest. It's quite different to this, to the point where you could actually have one of these and a ZX4, because it's quite a different riding experience. But the flexibility about just rolling on and off one gear just makes road riding just a little bit more relaxing. If you never went near a track day and you just want to get the most out of your bike, then that ZX4 takes some beating, to be honest. You could easily tour on it. You could easily spend all day in the seat on that. It's not an uncomfortable bike at all for its size. And as I said, the way that bike makes you feel is something special. But the old adage, I knew he hadn't seen me. The old adage, there's no replacement for displacement, is kind of true. You've really got to want a 400 to go for that price deficit. The ZX6 is definitely more angry. It's got better pickup, obviously. But this is not a bad little bike at all. Apart from the slipping clutch on it at the minute, which is maybe a mileage thing, or maybe it's just not quite set up properly. It's not too much to fault with it, really. I can see why Rory likes it. I can see why he waxes lyrical about it. It's quite a nice little place to be, actually. Now, this piece of road here is actually normally really quite bumpy. Well, normally it is a bumpy piece of road. And this bike is actually soaking it up really quite well. Maybe, again, being a little bit softer. The ZX6 does bounce around a little bit more along there. It's quite a bumpy straight. If you're new to riding and you want to put your toe into sports bikes, this is 100% the bike to have. If you really want a sports bike, then I don't know what more you would want from a entry level, if you can call it entry level. I suppose it is. But it's just, yeah. I mean, it's a big bike with a small engine. That's what it is. That's how it feels. Of course, I didn't bring my tripod with me today. I didn't bring any other stuff with me today to be able to ride this bike out with. Do some creative shots, you know. So it's very much a seat of the pants ride review, I'm afraid. Here we are then, the small but mighty ZX4RR. What can I say about this little bike? What an absolute gem of a motorcycle it is. we can only just be thankful for the bikes we've got available for us at the minute, because I don't know if you can have any more fun on a bike than that. All the reviews and all the hype is totally justified. It is, yeah, it's a small but mighty package. The biggest compliment I can give this bike is that I wish I'd have ridden this first before I bought the ZX6, because it would make you wonder why you actually need that extra power. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here rose-tinted glasses. The ZX6 is a fantastic bike, and to be honest, you start questioning, well, how much power and how much performance do you actually need? Now, you know, don't get me wrong, I've had GSX-R 1000Rs, I've had GSX-R 1000s before, GSX-R 750s, I've had all that, but the way this bike makes you feel, I think, and the way it rides, and the way it's so cohesive as a package, the way it works as a package, as a unit, is just awesome. It really is. And yeah, maybe I'm waxing lyrical too much about it, but honestly, you've got to ride one. You've got to ride one to appreciate how bloody good it is. It really is. It's something else. It's just so much fun to ride. You know, and let's just turn this on here so I can remember what I was going to say. So, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a bike that, you know, if you want it to get up and go, really get up and go and accelerate, you need to be doing, you know, obviously it's a buzzy bike in regards to how it performs and delivers power and accelerates. So, you know, if you really want it to actually pick its skirt up and go, like with intentional acceleration to get past stuff quickly, you need to be doing 9,000 revs, third gear, and it's raring to go. It gets up and goes, but you know, that doesn't mean to say that you can't sit in traffic. You can't sit behind traffic in fourth gear, for example, doing 6,000 revs. You know, you can go for a lazy overtake, and it's absolutely fine. But yeah, obviously, this bike makes most of its power 9,000-10,000 revs and up, and it wants to be ridden. It wants to be ridden that way as well. And I think that's where this bike captures your soul. That's where you really connect with it, is the way it makes you feel as a rider. You know, I've been riding bikes for 30 years, and I would say, you know, for want of a better word, quite experienced now. But we never stop learning. But, you know, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and or pee on your back and tell you that it's raining, but, you know, it's a little bit, what's the word? There's a few things you could change. My boot's been catching on here, depending on what size feet you are, depending on how you like to ride. I quite like to ride with my feet and my toes up on the pegs when you're riding a bit sportier. So yeah, it's a bit cramped in that respect. You can see there my boot's been rubbing a little bit, but you know, it just works. That's the biggest compliment I can give you as well. It just works. The bike is fantastic. As I said, if I'd have ridden this before I bought the ZX6, I'd have probably bought one of these. And yeah, it's down on power. Do you need it? No, but it's nice to have. You know, the biggest issue is going to be on a track, and you know, other reviews have said the same thing, that you know, unfortunately, because you're there with 600s and 1000 cc's, you're just going to get absolutely annihilated in the straights because it doesn't accelerate in the same way. But that said, you know, you could have so much fun with it, and it is just a fun bike to ride. The Honda Monkey is a great bike. It's slower than hell, but it's just the way it makes you feel. It's just so much fun to ride. This is the same, but this actually goes and actually works as a package. It's really comfy. It makes you you feel like you're kind of sat in a chair at the dining table. That's how the seating position kind of is. But yeah, it's just a shame that, like I say here, it's a bit boot wise. You kind of sat like that, and depending on when you sat on the bike, if I put full lock on, it catches on my knee. But I mean, you can just do that. It's not a big deal. It's little quirks. If you're thinking about buying one, or you think about buying a ZX6, ride this first, for goodness sake, because then you might be thinking, well, you know what, it's justified. But you know, the other downside, of course, is that it's £8,000, and for an extra £2,000, you can have a ZX6. It's nicely finished. It rides well. The tyres are really good. These are Dunlop Sport Max GPR 300. Yeah, I'd actually never heard of them before, but on the road, they're absolutely fine. As I said before, it's a bit softer than ZX6. The brakes are now better. The clutch is no longer slipping since I actually just backed it off a little bit. I think maybe it was just a bit too tight. It's got a bit more play in it now. That seems to have solved that problem. So there, thanks my mate for that. Bless him. He said, "Oh, that clutch feels quite tight." Backed it off a couple of clicks. Hey presto, seems to have worked. So yeah, ergonomics wise, it actually fits pretty well. It's quite narrow. Fuel wise, it's doing 46 miles to the gallon. It'll easily do 150-60 miles a tank, no problem at all. Wind protection is very good. The mirrors are great at all speeds. Tyres are good. Suspension's good. The brakes are better than they were. I'd like a little bit more bite out of them initially, but it's not the end of the world. You would have an absolute hoot on track day, but obviously you're going to be appreciative that you're going to get blown away down the straights, but it's not all about power. So yeah, the ZX4RR, awesome. Here we are back home with the mighty ZX6. The ZX4 is back nestled with Sherlaws, very reluctantly given back by myself. Thanks again to those guys for allowing me the opportunity to take it out and giving me a courtesy bike while this was in getting its recall. But yeah, ZX4, biggest praise I can give it. It's an awesome little bike. If I'd ridden that first, I probably would have bought that rather than ZX6. Its downfall is that for £2 more, you can buy a ZX6. And that's kind of where I'm at really with it. But I would suggest if you are interested in either of the two, go and ride the ZX4 first before you ride something with a bit more power. And then you'll probably wonder why you need anything more on the road. I must admit I was really smitten with the little thing. I didn't want to get off it, just wanted to keep riding it. And it's really flexible. You could tour in it, it's easily comfortable. All day to tour in it. It's a bit small for my 6'4" frame, as I showed with the bars, to get a bit close to your kneecaps for me. But it's a comfy bike. The bars themselves are comfy. It's like sitting at a dining room table. But now I've got these heli bars on the ZX6, it is much better. So yeah, go try ZX4. ZX6 remains a fantastic little bike, and can't wait to do more miles on it. So yeah, both awesome. I think the 4's got such a little niche in the market that honestly, given the way it feels, the way it rides, the way it makes you feel, more importantly, I think that's the biggest thing about that bike, is the way it makes you feel as a rider. You can really wring its neck, you can have fun with it, and yeah, you could probably have this. You could have a ZX4 and a ZX6 in the garage, and it would give you both quite different riding experiences. But go try one, that's all I can say. It'll open your eyes. Anyway, and I think it'd have to be a 40th anniversary ZX4 if you were going to get one. But that's just me. Anyway, that's that. It's yeah, quite good. Thoroughly recommended. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Thanks for sticking with the channel, and we will catch you on the next video. Bye for now.